Imagine opening your eyes not to the soft glow of a smartphone or the comfort of a memory foam pillow, but to the sharp, biting scent of damp wool, old leather, and the heavy musk of 7 other men sleeping in a space no larger than a modern walk-in closet. You are lying on a thin mat of straw, pressed against the cold, hard earth. The air is thick with the sound of rhythmic snoring and the distant metallic clatter of a sentry shifting his weight. Before you can even process where you are, a sharp, piercing blast of a bronze horn cuts through the silence of the dawn. This is the signum, the wake-up call that has governed the lives of men like you for centuries. You aren't just anyone. You are a legionary of the Roman Empire, and your day has just begun. You sit up, and your joints immediately protest. Your back is stiff from yesterday's 20-mile march, and your feet are a map of calluses and fading blisters. There is no snooze button here. In the dim light filtering through the heavy leather flap of the tent, you see your tent mates, your contubernium, stirring. These 7 men are your brothers, your co-workers, and your only family in this wilderness on the edge of the known world. You look at the man next to you, who is already cursing under his breath as he fumbles for his tunic. You don't speak much. The morning cold of the Germanic frontier or the high deserts of Syria doesn't invite conversation. You just move. First comes the tunic, a heavy, coarse wool that scratches against your skin. It's a deep, earthy red, dyed with madder root, designed to hide the stains of sweat and blood that are inevitable in your profession. You cinch it at the waist with your cingulum, the heavy leather belt that is the true mark of a soldier. As you fasten the bronze plates, they jingle with a familiar, rhythmic sound. To a Roman, a man without a belt is just a civilian, a nobody. But with this weight around your hips, you are a representative of the emperor himself. You reach for your caligae, the famous Roman military boots. You spend several minutes lacing the leather straps up your ankles, feeling the iron hobnails on the soles bite into the dirt. These boots are the reason Rome owns the world. They are rugged, breathable, and designed to endure thousands of miles of flint, mud, and sand. Breakfast is not a luxury. There is no coffee, no sugar, no feast. You and your tent mates gather around a small, portable millstone. It's your turn to grind the grain. You pour a handful of wheat into the stone and turn the handle, the grating sound filling the tent. This flour is mixed with water and a bit of salt to create a thick, bland porridge called pulse. If you're lucky, you might have a bit of lard or a scrap of hard cheese to flavor it. You wash it down with posca, a mixture of water and sour wine that tastes more like vinegar than anything else. It's sharp and acidic, but it kills the bacteria in the water and gives you the kick you need to face the morning. As you eat, the camp outside begins to roar to life. You hear the shouting of the optios, the second-in-command officers who act like the heartbeat of the century. They are screaming for the men to fall in. You quickly finish your meal and begin the most important ritual of your day, arming yourself. You help your tent mate slide his lorica segmentata over his shoulders, and he does the same for you. The overlapping iron strips are heavy, nearly 30 pounds, and they constrain your breathing until you get used to the weight. You feel the cold metal press against your chest and back, a literal cage of protection. You settle your helmet, the cassis, onto your head and tie the cheek pieces. Suddenly, the world is framed by steel. Your vision is narrowed, your hearing slightly muffled, and you feel a strange sense of detachment. You are no longer an individual. You are a component of a machine. You step out of the tent and into the morning mist of the castra, the fortified camp. Thousands of men are doing exactly what you are doing. The air is filled with the smell of wood smoke from 1,000 small fires and the earthy scent of thousands of mules. You find your place in the ranks of your century. Your centurion stands before you, his vine staff tucked under his arm. He is a man of scars and gray hair, a man who has survived a dozen campaigns. He doesn't look at you with kindness. He looks at you for weakness. You stand perfectly still, your scutum, the massive curved rectangular shield resting against your leg. It weighs 20 pounds and is made of laminated wood, leather, and iron. It is your wall. The morning is spent in drill. You might think that after months on the march, you wouldn't need to practice. But the Roman army relies on muscle memory, not bravery. You spend hours thrusting your gladius into wooden posts. You don't slash like the barbarians do. That's a waste of energy and leaves you exposed. You step, you shield bash, and you thrust. Short, controlled movements. The gladius is only 2 feet long, but in your hands, it is the most efficient killing tool ever devised. You practice the testudo, the tortoise formation, locking shields with the men around you until you are encased in an impenetrable shell of wood and bronze. You feel the sweat beginning to sting your eyes under your helmet, but you don't move. To break rank is to invite the vine staff of the centurion across your back, or worse, the disdain of the men next to you. By midday, the heat or the cold, depending on where the empire has sent you, has settled into your bones. But there is no rest. If the legion is moving, this is when the real work begins. You are a Marius Mule, a nickname given to soldiers because of the staggering amount of gear you carry. You shoulder your furca, a wooden crosspole loaded with your survival gear, a leather bag with your rations, a cooking pot, a saw, a pickaxe, and a spade. You carry nearly 80 pounds of equipment in total. When the order comes to march, the sound is like thunder. 5,000 men stepping in unison, the iron nails of their boots striking the Roman road with a rhythmic, terrifying precision. The march is a mental game. You stare at the back of the neck of the man in front of you. You listen to the rhythmic clank of the armor. You smell the dust kicked up by the thousands of feet ahead of you. You think about home, about the sun in Italy, or the crowded streets of a provincial town you haven't seen in 6 years. You signed up for 25 years of this. You are a professional. You aren't fighting for glory every day. Most days, you are fighting the sheer boredom and physical exhaustion of the road. You pass through ancient forests and over massive stone bridges built by the legions that came before you. You realize that you aren't just an army, you are a mobile civilization. You are the engineers, the architects, and the enforcers of the Pax Romana. As the sun begins to dip toward the horizon, the march doesn't end with a collapse into bed. The most dangerous time for a legion is at night, and so, every single evening, you build a city. The surveyors have already marked out the ground. You drop your heavy pack, but you keep your armor on. You take up your spade. You and your tent mates are assigned a section of the perimeter. You dig a trench, 3 feet deep and several feet wide. You throw the dirt inward to create a rampart. You then take the 2 heavy wooden stakes, the sudis, that you've been carrying all day and pound them into the top of the mound. By the time the moon is up, a fortified wall with towers and gates surrounds you. Only then are you allowed to eat. Dinner is a repeat of breakfast, perhaps with a bit of salted meat or vegetables foraged from the surrounding countryside. You sit around the fire with your contubernum. This is when the tension of the day finally breaks. You swap stories, you complain about the centurion, and you gamble with dice carved from bone. You talk about the women you saw in the last village, or the pay you're owed. You are paid in denarii, but much of it is deducted for your food, your armor, and your burial fund. Yes, even in the army, you are planning for your own death. But in the glow of the fire, with the familiar faces of your brothers around you, the fear of the frontier seems a little further away. But the day isn't over for everyone. You look at the duty roster scratched onto a wax tablet. Tonight, you have the 3rd watch. You try to get a few hours of sleep, collapsing onto your straw mat in the tent, still smelling of the day's toil. It feels like only minutes have passed when a hand shakes your shoulder. It's time. You move quietly so as not to wake the others. You grab your spear, the pilum, and head to the ramparts. The night is silent, save for the wind whistling through the wooden stakes of the palisade. You look out into the darkness beyond the camp. Somewhere out there are people who want you dead. To them, you are an invader, a red-coated demon who brings taxes and strange laws. To you, they are just shadows in the trees. You hold your pilum tightly. This weapon is a masterpiece of engineering, a long iron neck with a hardened tip, designed to bend upon impact so the enemy can't throw it back at you. It's a one-way ticket to the afterlife for anyone brave enough to charge the wall. As you walk the perimeter, you look up at the stars. They are the same stars that shine over Rome hundreds of miles away. You think about the scale of what you are a part of. From the rainy hills of Britain to the burning sands of the Euphrates, men exactly like you are standing on walls exactly like this one, wearing the same armor, speaking the same Latin, and feeling the same loneliness. You are the iron border of the world. Without you, the cities would burn, the trade would stop, and the grand experiment of Rome would vanish into the dirt. The cold air keeps you awake, but the exhaustion is a heavy weight on your eyelids. You hear the call of a distant owl and the occasional muffled cough of another sentry further down the line. You find yourself tracing the patterns on your shield by touch, the familiar embossed wings of the eagle. You aren't just a man, you are a legionary of the 10th, or the 14th, or the primogenia. Your identity is wrapped up in the standards, the golden eagles that sit in the center of the camp. You would die for those eagles, not because you love the medal, but because they represent the honor of the men standing to your left and right. Finally, the sky begins to turn a bruised purple. The first watch of the new day is approaching. You see the shadow of your relief coming toward you. You exchange the password, perhaps Victoria or Jupiter, and hand over the post. You walk back to your tent, your legs feeling like lead. You crawl back onto your mat, the straw rustling under your weight. You have maybe an hour of sleep left before the horn blows again. As you close your eyes, you don't think about the politics of the Senate or the whims of the emperor. You think about the weight of your pack, the salt in your porridge, and the man next to you. You are a Roman soldier. You are the muscle and bone of an empire that intends to last forever. And tomorrow you will wake up, you will put on your armor, and you will do it all over again. The road is long, the work is hard, but as long as you are standing, Rome is standing. You drift off to sleep to the sound of the wind and the distant clank of a sentry's armor, a small, tired part of a machine that never stops moving. The sun begins to crest the horizon, casting long shadows across the perfectly straight rows of tents. The camp is a masterpiece of order in a world of chaos. Even in your half-sleep, you can hear the first stirrings of the camp followers outside the gates. The traders, the blacksmiths, and the families who follow the legion like a tail follows a dog. They are the lifeblood of the frontier, providing the small comforts that the military doesn't. You dream of a cup of real wine, not posca, and a loaf of white bread from a real oven. But those are dreams for a man on leave, and leave is a long way off. The horn sounds again, the signum. It's sharper this time, or maybe it just feels that way because your body is screaming for more rest. You open your eyes and the cycle repeats. The smell of the leather, the scratch of the wool, the weight of the iron. You reach for your boots, fumbling with the laces in the dim light. Your tentmate grunts a greeting, his voice hoarse from the dust of the march. You don't complain. You don't hesitate. You are a part of the legion, and the legion does not wait for the sun. As you step out into the morning air, you feel a strange sense of pride. It's a quiet, heavy thing. You look at the massive fortifications you built in a single evening and realize that you and your brothers have changed the landscape itself. Where there was once only forest, there is now a fortress. Where there was once silence, there is now the sound of Rome. You take your place in the line, the scutum resting against your knee, the pilum steady in your hand. The centurion walks past, his eyes scanning the ranks for any sign of disorder. He stops in front of you, nods once, and moves on. It's the highest praise you'll get all week. The order is given. The gates of the camp swing open with a groan of heavy timber. The standards are raised, the silver eagles glinting in the pale morning light. The trumpets sound the advance. You shift the weight of your pack, feel the bite of the straps, and take your first step. You don't know where the road leads today. Maybe to a skirmish in the woods, maybe to another 20 miles of dust, or maybe to the construction of a new bridge. It doesn't matter. You are a Roman soldier, and the world is waiting to be conquered, one step at a time. The rhythm of the march begins to take over. Left, right, left. The sound of 5,000 men becomes a single heartbeat. You feel the strength of the formation, the absolute certainty that as long as you stay together, nothing on earth can stop you. The dust rises, the sun warms the iron on your shoulders, and the horizon stretches out forever. You are a tiny speck in the history of the world, but as you march forward, you realize that you are the one writing it. The empire isn't built on marble statues and golden palaces, it's built on the sweat of men like you, on the iron nails in your boots, and on the relentless, unyielding march of the legions. You look ahead at the open road, the stone paving disappearing into the distance. You take a deep breath of the morning air, tasting the salt and the smoke. You are tired, you are hungry, and your feet ache with every step. But as the eagle's standard bobs in the air ahead of you, you find yourself standing a little straighter. You are a Roman soldier. And today, just like every day, you will show the world what that means. The march continues, the sun rises higher, and the story of Rome moves forward with every beat of your heart. You are not just living history, you are the force that drives it. And as you disappear into the dust of the road, the sound of your boots remains, a rhythmic reminder that you were here, and that because of you, the world would never be the same again. As the morning progresses, the heat starts to radiate from the stones beneath your feet. The weight of the lorica segmentata feels heavier now, the iron plates absorbing the sun's energy and pressing it against your wool tunic. You can feel the sweat trickling down your spine, but you don't reach to wipe it. You maintain the pace. Discipline is the difference between a soldier and a casualty. You watch the landscape change, from dense thickets to open fields where farmers stop their work to watch the red-clad column pass. They look at you with a mix of awe and terror. To them, you are the ultimate power, a force of nature that can bring peace or destruction with a single command. You think about the engineering of the road you're walking on. It's perfectly straight, cutting through hills and bridging valleys with a stubborn refusal to bend to the will of the land. It's made of layers of sand, gravel, and heavy stone, designed to last for 1,000 years. You helped build a section like this last summer, spending weeks hauling rocks and leveling the ground. At the time, you hated it. You wanted to be a warrior, not a laborer. But now, as you feel the stability of the surface under your boots, you understand. A legion that can't move is a legion that can't win. The road is as much a weapon as your sword. The march is interrupted by a sudden halt. The word travels back through the ranks like a wave. You don't break formation, but you shift your weight, grateful for the momentary relief. Up ahead, the scouts have spotted something. You feel the tension rise instantly. Your hand tightens on the grip of your shield. You check the position of your gladius, ensuring it's clear for a quick draw. This is the moment you train for, the moment that justifies all the boredom and the blisters. Your heart rate quickens, but your breathing remains steady. You look at your tent mates. They are ready. There is no panic, only a grim, professional readiness. It turns out to be a false alarm, a group of local tribesmen bringing grain to the camp. But the surge of adrenaline leaves you feeling wired. You resume the march, the rhythm returning, but the atmosphere has changed. The reality of your situation is clearer now. You are in a land that is not your own, enforcing a peace that is often fragile. You are the thin red line that keeps the darkness at bay. You think about the men who stood in this spot 100 years ago. and the men who will stand here 100 years from now. You are part of a long, unbroken chain of service. As the afternoon shadows grow longer, you see the destination for the day, a hilltop overlooking a strategic river crossing. The order is given to halt. You know the drill. You drop your pack, but the armor stays on. The shovels come out. The sun is low in the sky, casting a golden light over the valley. But you don't have time to admire the view. You dig, you lift, you build. The ramparts rise, the ditch deepens, and the wooden stakes are driven home. It's back-breaking work, but there's a satisfaction in seeing the camp take shape. It's a physical manifestation of Roman order. By the time the camp is secure, the stars are beginning to peek through the twilight. You gather around the fire with your contubernum for the evening meal. The conversation is quieter tonight. Everyone is exhausted. You share a piece of hard bread and a cup of posca, the sharp taste cutting through the dust in your throat. You look at the fire, the flames dancing in the reflection of your helmet. You think about the journey you've taken, not just today, but since the day you first took the oath to the emperor. You've seen things a farm boy from the hills could never imagine. You've seen the great cities, the vast oceans, and the endless forests. You've felt the terror of battle and the pride of victory. You realize that despite the hardship, you wouldn't be anywhere else. There is a clarity to this life. You know who your friends are, you know what your duty is, and you know your place in the world. You are a legionary. You are the iron that holds the empire together. You lean back against your pack, feeling the cool night air on your face. Tomorrow will be another long march, another camp to build, another watch to keep. But for now, there is the fire, the silence of the camp, and the steady breathing of your brothers. You close your eyes, the sounds of the legion fading into a dull hum. You are a small part of a grand design, a single stone in a vast mosaic. But without that stone, the picture would be incomplete. You drift into a deep, dreamless sleep, knowing that when the horn blows at dawn, you will be ready. You will wake up, you will put on your armor, and you will march. Because that is what a Roman soldier does. You are the heartbeat of the empire, and as long as you are marching, the world belongs to Rome. The fire flickers and dies down to embers. The sentries pace the walls, and the legion sleeps. A silent giant waiting for the sun to rise once more on the eternal frontier.
If you liked this video, please hit the like and subscribe button for more.